So now that we're all set up, now what we're going to do is walk you through the process of image capture. So everything is exactly where we left off in the getting started video. Our slide is in the exact same place, and now what I'm going to do is show you how to turn the system on, take a series of photographs, and then also show you what you can do to change or alter light between plain light, reflected light, and polarized light. So first thing first, let's turn the camera on. Make sure the camera's mode is in automatic. As always, that's going to automatically open up our software on the computer. From here, what we want to do is open up our live view shoot. We're just going to press live view, and that's going to give us a visual of what we're seeing. So the next steps is to set up the shot the same way we do with any other focus stacking approach. So we're going to move through the material until everything just starts to go out of focus. That'll be a starting point. We're going to come back through the material until everything just goes out of focus. That'll be an end point. And then between those 2 points, this is a slide, so there's not too much depth. We're going to take 20 photographs. Okay, so from there, now what we're going to do is set up our camera and get it ready for image capture. So we're going to change the camera body into manual mode. We're going to turn our flash on. Make sure our flash is in manual. The camera settings are always as they are. So basically most of the settings are going to stay the same. So 1/200, we're going to do f4, which is the sharpest in our situation. We're going to take the ISO down to 100. The flash is going to put out a lot of light. And then we're going to set up the directory for where we're going to be storing our photographs. So we changed the folder. The last tutorial we did was the Macrocore. Now we're going to move over to the Petrographic, and we created this high-res images folder. That's where we're going to select to store our images. We'll press OK. Then we're going to close our live preview, open up a quick preview, and we just want to fire a test shot. So here at 1x, 1 times magnification, 1/200, f4, ISO is 100, and our flash is 1/32. Take a test picture, and you can see how bright that is. It's far too bright. So what we're going to do is we're going to come back to our flash, and we're going to dial it back. We'll go right up to 1/120. Well, we'll go to let's see where we go. Let's do 1/512. So basically the least amount of light, and just see what our light looks like. There we go. That's actually excellent. So in plain light, we're going to leave our flash at 1/512, and that's where we're going to take our image capture from. So let's go back to that folder. Okay, so desktop, video tutorials, Macropod Petrographic, image capture. Sorry, the high-res images. We're just going to delete that test shot. We don't need those. And from here, what we can do is go ahead and capture our first set of images. So we're going to press start. Okay, so what this is going to give us is going to give us a 20 photograph stack through a slide or a thin section. So if you have a slide of anything, it could be an ant, a wasp, any histological slide that you have on here, rock, this is how you're going to be doing the majority of your imaging. But if you have basically more sophisticated analysis, if you're dealing with rocks and minerals, you want to add a second polarizer in order to cross-polarize the materials. Now, biologists might not be very familiar with this technique, but geologists will be. It's very common in the use of the geological sciences, pharmaceuticals, and metallurgical sciences. So we'll let this finish. We've slowed everything down a little bit from our last demo and tutorial video, so that's why it's kind of taking a little bit longer to take images, but it's not going to take too long. And then so it'll tell us actually we have 13 more seconds, and then that'll be our first plain light image captured. Okay, so that's finished. What we're going to do is just call that sample 1 plain light 1x magnification. because now what we're going to do is we're going to play with the light a little bit. So we're going to take our camera, we're going to place it back into automatic mode so that we can see what we're doing. We're going to open up our live view shoot, and now what we're going to do is we're going to add a polarizer. So the polarizer, again, not something that biologists are going to use, something that geologists are going to use quite frequently. So I'm just going to screw this on the front of the lens. It's a 58mm filter, and you'll actually see in the live view what actually happens as I rotate this. So when you take two polarizers and you place the polarizers at 90-degree angle to one another, it blocks out all light that's coming into your lens. However, when light passes through a crystalline structure, the light particles get projected into a different direction, so you can still see the light that comes through a crystal lattice. So what you want to do is rotate it until everything in the background goes black, just like that. And that is when we know we have the polarizers at 90 degrees to each other. The other thing you can do here is you can rotate your stage, and what that will do is it will allow you to see birefringence. So certain minerals will go extinct at certain angles, but that is how you're going to rotate your slide when you have a polarizer on there. Okay, so the polarizer is at 90 degrees. Now what we're going to do is come back. We're going to set our camera back up into manual mode, and it's possible that we might need a little bit brighter light in order to resolve this, but then again our settings might be okay. So again, we're going to take a test image. So it's a little bit darker. One of the things I think that we should do is just give us twice the amount of light we have currently. So instead of 1/512, we'll go to 1/256. We're going to delete that test image that's polarized, and we're going to just hit start again. We didn't change anything, so if we hit run again, that's going to go through and it's going to take another 20 photographs through this slide, which is under cross polarization. So we'll let this process, and then what we're going to do is we're going to take the polarizer back off, swap out the specimen, and show you how to proceed. Okay, so that's done. So instead of taking our polarizer back off, since we're going to take another image using cross polarization, we're going to leave that polarizer on the front of the lens, and we're just going to swap out slides. It's possible we have to reset the focus stack, but generally slides in thin sections have equal widths, so we're going to rely on that fact for a second while we try to focus stack through this image. But what I will do is just show you how to set it up just in case you need to do that again. So we're going to go right back into automatic mode. We'll come back over here to the computer, open up our live view shoot. In here, we'll want to center the slide. Okay, we're still polarized. We're going to change our starting and end point just to make sure we're all the way through here. So we're just out of focus. That'll be a start point. Come through. So we're just out of focus once more. That'll be our end point. We'll come back to the camera, set it back up to manual. And before we take another set of photographs, what we'll do is we'll just change the title of the folder. So we'll make this sample 1, polarized, light 1x magnification. And I write the magnification down because it allows me to add scale bars later if I understand and remember what magnification I'm at. Okay. So now what we'll do, we'll come back, we'll press start, and we're going to capture another set of focal planes through the second sample. Okay, so that's all done on sample 2, so we're going to take our polarizer back off. We're going to change the name of the folder, the directory, and then we're going to take another set of images using plain light again. So what we're going to do while we do this, we're going to set our flash right back to 1/512. We knew that that was a good setting from before. And then we're going to take another set of images. Now one thing that's really, really nice about this approach is that unlike a petrographic microscope, this allows us to capture the entire slide in context. So that way, if you're a structural geologist and orientation is very important, now you have the ability to preserve that orientation while capturing a high quality photo of the entire slide. And if there are features you need to enlarge, then that's when we'll increase magnification and we'll zero in on those features later. And that's what we're going to do in a few moments. Okay, press enter. We'll get this started. Doing again a plain light photograph through sample 2. Okay, now it's time to increase our magnification. So what we'll do, we're going to bring the camera up a little bit. We can do that a couple of ways. One is we can bring our stack shot up. The other is we can brace our camera. We can take the adapter and we can raise it this way, right in the adapter. But that should be plenty. What we'll do is we'll take it right down to 5x. And now we've increased our magnification. You can also take the entire stack shot and you can raise this as well. That just gives you a little bit more flexibility. So those are the 3 ways to sort of alter and change your working distance. One other thing I haven't mentioned yet, but if you're working with biological materials and you have something that's very thick, or even geological materials where you have like a precious metal, something that does not allow transmitted light to come through to the camera, and therefore the image shows up or the artifact shows up black, what you want to do is you can just add a diffuser right on the front of the lens here, and what will happen is the light will come up, bounce off the base of the petrographic analyzer, come up, it'll hit the front of this diffuser, and then it'll reproject really soft light onto those thick materials. And that way you can combine a mixture of transmitted and reflected light sources to fully illuminate your specimen, and that leads to very, very high quality photos. So never fail. It's kind of nice to have your diffuser on there if you need it. In this example, these slides and thin sections don't have any of those really thick or opaque materials, so we're not going to worry about it, but just so you know, you can add a diffuser to sort of, again, change the way that you use your light. Okay, so we're at 5x here. What we're going to do is switch the camera back into automatic mode. We're going to have to change some of the settings around just to allow for a brighter image, but not too much. So now that we're back at the computer, we're going to change our folder name. So sample 2. Oh, this was plain light. 1x magnification. Okay. So we'll open up a live view shoot and we'll start to play with our lens and our optics here to see where we are. So we'll bring the camera a little closer to our thin section. There we go. So now we're within the field of view. We can move our analyzer around to change what we see, or you can change the slide, move the slide around on the surface, but it's much more precise to actually just move the analyzer around. That magnet is really quite nice. What we're going to do is just focus on a feature here. So this is 5 times magnified from where we were. And we're going to set up again another focal stack. So we're going to take our focal plane until we're through the material. And then we're going to bring it back until we're through the material. Set our endpoint. In this case, we're going to take 25 images. We're going to come back into manual mode. We're going to need a significantly brighter image at 5x. So instead of 1/512 in plain light, let's try something more around 1/32. Come back to the computer, close our live preview. Oops, just reopened it. We'll open up a quick preview. Sorry, quick preview. Here we go. And we'll take a test shot, see what our light is like. Again, that's very good, very balanced, nice contrast. So we'll go ahead, we'll delete that test shot, and we'll press start on our stack shot controller, and we'll take another image stack through here. Okay, so that's just about through. One other thing that's interesting is that if you're using a petrographic microscope, a 1x magnification on our system is going to be compatible or equivalent to a 10x optic on any petrographic microscope. So that's just going to give you context as well in terms of factoring in resolution and also the 10x eyepiece, which does not exist on the camera but does exist in the distance in which light has to travel into your camera sensor. The image is being enlarged tenfold. Similarly at 5x, so if we're at 5x with the MPE 65, that's going to be the equivalent of a 50x optic on your petrographic microscope. And one thing we're going to do as soon as we're done with this, we're going to swap it over and do some even higher powered optics. We're going to put a 10x objective on our telephoto lens using our micro kit, and then that'll be equivalent to a 100x image. So what we're going to do here now, again, we're going to cross polarize our material. So we're going to add our polarizer back on the front of the MP65. Okay, you want to set your camera up so it's back into automatic mode. We'll open up a live view shoot. And again, you just want to make sure that your polarizer is 90 degrees. So we'll just put another slide over there just to see if everything is black. Yep. There we go. Okay, and remember we need a little bit more flash power, so instead of 1/32, we're going to step it up to 1/16. Change the name of that folder, so this was sample 2, plain light 5x magnification. And now we can press start on our controller and capture a set of images using cross polars. Okay, so we'll rename that directory. This was again sample 2, polarized light 5x. Okay, so we're going to swap out our sample. We'll go back to our automatic mode, open up our live view shoot, move our thin section, replace it with the other. Now what we'll do is we'll just find a section in here. Here you go. It looks like there's like a section of calcite here. We're going to change our focal plane, so we're going to change our starting parameter here since we swapped out the sample. That's our start. This is our end. We didn't change the polarizer, so the settings are correct. We'll come back to our computer. We'll open up a quick preview again. Press start, and now we're going to go ahead, collect 25 images through sample 1 using polarized light, and then we'll come back, we'll do it again using plain light, and that will be 2 slides completely imaged with full context, and then at 5x of an area of interest, and then we're going to come back, I'm going to show you how to set up the micro kit, and that will give you a good indication of what you'll need to do if you need higher magnifications. So that's the process that we use to photograph slides in thin sections in plain and polarized light. Now to end this video, the last thing I want to do is show you how to put on the micro kit if you need higher magnifications. So I already have a 10x objective fixed to our 70 to 200 millimeter. As always, the 200 millimeter needs to be set at 200, infinity on the aperture, 1.2 meters on the side, manual focus, and turn off your stabilizer. And that's how the lens should be set up when it's on there. Okay. The other thing to do, again, not so relevant for biologists, but more relevant for geologists. There's 2 ways you can add the polarizer if you need to cross polarize your light. One is, if you don't want to touch or change your position of the thin section or risk moving it, you just unscrew the adapter, screw on the polarizer, and then put the adapter back on over the polarizer. So basically just like this, you'll just take off the adapter. Again, 2 hands, be very gentle with this objective. Set that down, You'll add your polarizer, and you can do this with it mounted on your camera as well. That's mounted, and then you'll just add your adapter directly to the front of that adapter. We'll just set that down so I can hold it. The polarizer allows you to spin, so you want to make sure that it's actually threading into the polarizer. There you go. And that is how you would add the polarizer. Now, if you don't want to do that every time, the other thing you can do is just take your polarizer and just set it right over top your thin section. That's another option. Okay. So what we're going to do quickly, just show you how to switch this out. So first thing, turn the camera off. You want to disconnect the flash and set it to the side. You're going to take off your camera body. Again, be very quick. You want to use your dust caps. So we're just going to cap the camera body, cap the back of the MPE65, disconnect the MPE65, set that to the side. We're going to replace it. You want to make sure you're aware of your working distance down here, so you don't accidentally risk cracking the glass. Make sure you have two hands. Tighten it down. Remove the back of your dust cap. Add your camera body. And now what we're going to do is just add our flash. Tighten it down. Turn the camera back on, and you're good to go. Now the capture process is exactly the same as it was for the MPE65. 10x objective lets a lot of light in, so chances are the camera settings and the flash settings are going to stay exactly the same as you had them for the 5x magnification on the MPE65. If you start increasing objectives, you're going to have to increase the output of the flash. If you find that you've gone up to 1/8, which is about the most we want you to go on these systems, then it's time to start increasing ISO on your computer. So if you're at 50x, the image is still dark at 1/8, then you want to turn your computer and change the ISO from 100, start elevating it to 400. All of the other settings stay exactly the same, and that's how you're going to be shooting slides. So again, biologists, as simple as take a slide on, or put the slide on, take the slide off, on, off, and really just hit run again on your controller every time. Geologists, if you need to use cross polarization, you're going to have to swap the filter on and off. It's just like changing the analyzer in a petrographic microscope. And again, this is going to give you really high quality results just because of the way that we're using light. But that's how you'd switch it over. I hope you enjoyed watching, and in the next video I'll show you how to batch process the data and then apply scale bars to the output images. Thank you.